Call meeting order with 54 of the Public Meeting Act. Tara, when you get a chance, do a roll call, please.
Bob Huskis.
Here.
Arnie Schmidt.
Here.
Bill Tunnell.
Here.
Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Bob Warnlocker.
Here.
Vanessa Jones. Here. John Hurling. David Triggs.
Here.
Robin Sudam. Here. Stephanie Prague. Did I say your name wrong? It's Prague. I knew it. When it came out, I was like, that doesn't sound right. Okay, yeah. As it was coming out, like, no, that's wrong.
That's all right.
Sorry about that. John Moon.
Yeah.
Okay, did I miss any? John Hurling, did I get you?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Stephen Dahl, you're here. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Motion to open the meeting to the public. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting now open to the public.
So, Zach Glickman had asked this afternoon, remember before he talked about, preparing a presentation about an observatory. So
Right.
being that we're here and we didn't have that much, he wanted to ask if it would be okay if he discussed it in public session. He has a few slides, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, all right. Do you want to just sit here, or do you want me to just tell me when to hit the button?
I could just tell you.
Okay.
Excuse me, your name again?
Zach.
Last name?
Lickman, L-I-C-H-T-M-A-N-N.
Of the East Millstone Liquid. Right.
East Millstone?
Of the astronomer Lickmans.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. I'll run through this quickly because I know you'll have questions. I wanted to give you sort of a sense of possibilities that we could do and sort of lean you in directions that I think would be really beneficial. So to have an observatory, again, this would be at John Clyde Open Space Preserve, that area. So I want to give you an example of an observatory that exists to put something in your mind. It's called the Giovanni Open Deck Observatory. You go to the next slide there too. That's a nice view of it here. So to make sense of what you're looking at, a padded area, so we have concrete on the ground, and we have in the center telescopes. These are permanently mounted. This roof slides and retracts. Actually, the whole building does. We're not going to do that. We're going to get something a little more simple, but this is to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Essentially, you have a designated area, you have permanent fixtures, and you have a building that will open and close. That really benefits a lot of things, and we can get a lot out of that without putting an investment into what's called an observatory dome that costs a whole lot of money to build and a whole lot of money to maintain by a specialist. We don't need to do that to get a lot out of this. Go to the next. What we would be doing here would be essentially three things. Observing with the public at night with telescopes, observing with the public in the day. We'd have regular programs of workshops and presenters and guest speakers just like other facilities do. And we'd also have remote access for professional astronomers. We would use a telescope that's large enough that the astronomers in the Department of Astrophysics at Princeton, who I'm talking to, are interested in collaborating with us on this, as well as United States Air Force Academy. They have a physics and department that would be interested in collaborating with us. And the reason we would grant them access to our facility remotely is so that when they are working on different projects, they would be involving our students, our high school students in particular, on here's what I'm looking at, here's what I'm researching, here's my project, and you can be involved in some of that work. This is really a facility to bring people together around this really cool subject of astronomy. Everybody's excited about the Northern Lights when it happens. Everyone's excited about the comet that my group right now is outside looking at. So that's kind of the use of this facility. Next slide. Here's an example of a very large 1.5 meter telescope. When we say 1.5 meter, we're talking about the diameter of the primary mirror, the eyeball that's collecting all the light. That's to give you an example of the size and the scale. You go to the next one. This is a 1 meter telescope, a bit smaller, very capable scope, very capable system that will give you everything you'd want and need in a telescope and allow us to collaborate with universities and get them involved with our students. People say you can't do astronomy in New Jersey. There's too much light pollution. Every picture here is taken from people I know. This is about Urukven. This is my picture of Saturn. These are images taken with telescopes from New Jersey. Go to the next one. A couple of examples just to frame what's possible, okay? These are taken with much smaller telescopes, but these are hours of stacking images to develop this. But it's possible. Two main reasons it's possible is because we have technology now that allows us to look at narrowband white light. Suffice it to say, we're capable of cutting through a lot of light in New Jersey that we weren't able to do 20 years ago. Go ahead. A couple more examples. But we're not just imaging at night. This is a solar telescope. You can slide one more. This would be a telescope. We also have one like this for daytime use. So what do you look at in the day? We look at the sun. And the sun is the most dynamic celestial object you can possibly observe. Every day it changes. Go to the next slide. This is what the sun looks like through a solar telescope. This is what students and people would be seeing, our star, to their naked eye through the telescope. This is what it looks like, and it's knock your socks off. I have a scope like this that I bring to businesses and outreach programs, and I do this solar astronomy work because a lot of schools say, I can't bring kids back at night. I don't want to bus them at night. What can we do in the daytime? Really cool stuff. Go to the next slide. This is something really neat. This is a series of pictures taken of the sun close up. Every picture is taken about 4 minutes apart. And what you'll notice is at the top, we don't have too much going on, but soon we've got this bright white flash and this thing that protrudes out here. By the way, that's about 3 or 4 times the size of planet Earth, that thing that's popping out. That's the stuff that caused the northern lights. We're talking about space weather. This whole series of images was taken in about 1 hour. So our students would log on in their classrooms. The teacher would say, yeah, it's remotely, we got a go signal from the observatory that everything's operational. They slide the roof open. We're looking at the sun in live imaging time. And the students are able to see dynamic changes on our star. It's interesting, it's relevant, it's engaging. This is my English teacher coming out right now, but I can promise you, when students are engaged in activity that's relevant and going on right now, it's an enduring experience for them. It lasts, it sticks with them. So you couple that with projects they can look forward to when they get to high school to doing real research with people at Princeton, you're going to have something really special. This is an example of a roll-off roof observatory. Essentially think of a garage where the roof is on a track system and it slides open and slides closed. You can automate it the same way as you automate your garage door with a garage door motor that opens that door up and down. You do it for your rooftop. This is more like the style that we would build compared to that first picture I showed you. It would be a little larger than this. This would hold the larger telescope inside of it, but that's the kind of structure we're talking about. I show you this example because last week we met, Bob, you brought up a good point. My DPW guys can't build a dome and observatory, but they built a concession stand, they can build regular planned stuff. This is the kind of facility we buy plans for, that New Jersey Astronomical Association, the next plan that they're building, they go to what's called backyardobservatories.com, they buy the plans that shows you everything you need to do to build this. This is something that the material is inexpensive to buy, it's inexpensive to maintain. If anything goes wrong, you go to Home Depot and get parts. You're not going to order some piece of shelving, some giant aluminum arc thing that goes on a dome somewhere. This is what we can build that is an investment on the low end of finance, but really high yield because we can put phenomenal equipment inside of it. Okay. Why do we want to build a roll-off roof compared to the big dome? A number of reasons I just mentioned, but simple in design, easy materials, it's accessible. It's ADA accessible. We can put a lot of people into a big room that's like this times 2. And we can all be there working around and using this telescope live. In a dome, you can fit maybe 10 or 12 people around it, and you're squeezed in, and so there's a lot of pros for this. Also, the telescope system itself, it's nice when its ambient temperatures reach quickly. Domes have big giant ventilation systems and fans in place to keep everything happy and operating the same temperature inside as outside. This, you roll the roof open in 10 minutes, you're good. So there's a lot of reasons to go with a roll-off roof design, not just finances, but it's actually a good system. Next to the observatory with the telescope, ideally we would have a facility building where you would have a space for a classroom, presentation, chairs, we'd have guest speakers, we would have workshops and programs regularly available right there. This is sort of your welcome center. People who are used to going to John Clyde and doing birding, this would be a great place because we would have a bathroom here. We need that facility to sort of have all of that and make sense of using the observatory that's there. Right, next slide. That's basically just what we would do there. Costs. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but they come in these categories. The telescopes and associated accessories, that's your big cost because we're talking about real observatory equipment that's very capable. Then you have the observatory building itself, that roll-off roof structure, and then you have the facility center. Electric, we'd have to run electric there. Plumbing, we've got to run plumbing there for a bathroom. And it's going to have to be septic because sewer, you can't reach sewer there. That's the nature of where it is. We could pick a spot that's sort of closer to the street somewhere and more accessible for electricity and plumbing at the expense of all the other reasons why we're there for John Clyde in that spot for an observatory. So that's kind of a trade-off we have to live with. Next slide. I want to give you a sense of some numbers and tell you what these numbers really are. The first column here of these numbers with the telescopes, that is your biggest and best telescopes. That is your Rolls-Royce, that is the 1.5 meter, that picture of the two guys standing in the beginning with the big giant telescope behind them, and the biggest solar telescope to do all the kind of research we want that brings in collaboration with other universities. That's the Rolls-Royce option. That's like $2 million worth of equipment. That's a big number, but that's the reality of that choice. The observatory itself, that roll-off roof, materials alone are like $50,000. It's a big garage. There's not complexity to it. It's wood, it's shingles, it's rolling casters. So 50K, I put it to 100K in materials. Would DPW build it? That's something we can talk about, right? Or we, God forbid, or So that's kind of why I'm here, and you guys are going to have questions about that. We're going to work that out. The facility, that other separate building, maybe we're closer to 250K for materials. Plus, we're going to do labor, then we're going to put that out for bid. Electricity, water we talked about. So the total you're looking at just over $2 million for the Rolls-Royce option. The pared down version that still is observatory class equipment and completely capable is closer to $1.25 million. And most of the difference between those numbers is really choosing the bigger, really big telescope or the regular big telescope. That's essentially where those two big numbers come from. There's a little difference in the observatory. The roll-off roof building would have to be a bigger structure, but that's not substantially more money compared to the bigger telescope. I kind of ran through a lot at you, but I wanted to kind of give you everything and let you guys ask questions. Where we go from here, I hope it's somewhere together.
I have one quick question.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. You go first.
I want to know, what is the major difference between the Rolls-Royce and the other one? What is the major difference between the two? I mean, maybe it's best to go for your bucks for the 2.3 compared to the 1.2.
There are a lot of advantages.
What is-
The main advantage is light gathering power and the ability to resolve things that are faint and small. So the bigger telescope can collect more light quickly. And when you're trying to see faint, fuzzy things, that's very important. But you could have the two telescopes side by side and just let the smaller telescope collect light for much longer to get something similar, but it will never achieve the same resolution. Picture your 4K TV today that you have compared to the one you had 10, 20 years ago. Your resolution will never be there. Resolution, how fine of the details you can see in these objects and the studying and research you can do with them is a function of aperture. There's no substitute for aperture. So, yeah. Yes?
You mentioned that Princeton and another group would collaborate with us, and I'm wondering, this would be a financial question, whether it's appropriate or not, but would they be willing to donate money for something like this? And is that something, Bob, that would be acceptable?
Sure.
Yeah, if Bob wants to accept money, which I think he probably,
With this?
Yeah, Princeton, and we're really early talks now. We're talking to like the chairperson and the people. Anyway, the short answer is yes, probably something. How much and what percentage, I don't know yet, but I think so. The U.S. Air Force Academy, less so, based on our conversation we had so far, but not entirely, it's not a no out the door. But I think Princeton is more likely to, yeah, maybe even match some of our funds.
I heard the U.S. Naval Observatory.
Have you approached Rutgers at all?
I sent out an email, haven't heard back from them yet. I can kind of go back and forth a little more.
Yeah, I think so, and maybe pick up the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to dig. I messaged. We got Ryder, Stray. There's like a half a dozen easily that I've been talking
We are
to.
the state university and we are a municipality, so I think it would. And also, are you looking into grants?
I'm open to the idea, but I've not dug into who can fund this for grants. National Science.
I think if you did some grant shopping and then came back to the township and said, I got this much covered, can the township help?
Right. Yeah.
The court assistant.
So this is something that you should always keep in mind when you're doing cost estimates for something that's done by government. So we pay prevailing wage, unlike your estimates, and I will tell you that this is beyond the scope of our Public Works Department for construction. This would have, something other than a pre-constructed shed that we buy at the Kingston Shopping Center on Route 7. It then becomes something that would be a bid. It's required to be prevailing wage when it's over a certain amount. This would certainly be over a certain amount. So it needs that. Those things need to be considered when you do cost estimates. I will tell you, and this committee has had these kind of conversations in the past. It can be a very eye-opening experience when you go through the bid process for government construction on anything. There's bathrooms at the Little League fields on DeKalb Street that are literally a prefabricated concrete structure with 2 stalls for a women's room and 2 stalls for a men's room, and the connections to sewer and water was over $250,000. So I hesitate to be a Debbie Downer here, but the reality is that costs are much more significant for construction projects. Now, the telescopes, that's your bailiwick, so I'd say that you know better than any of us here what the costs are of those. My question about the telescopes are, you talk about technology. What's the anticipated useful life of something that you're purchasing for $2 million?
Decades. Yeah. And these companies, ASA and Plane Wave, the ones I'm pointing out,
Mhm.
do this. When you buy that, you're buying a system from them, including like 24/7 tech support. They train you on how to operate it. There are maintenance plans that they can offer should you want that. So it's a whole system because they do that for observatories around the world.
What about the 725,000?
Same thing.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
same thing. It's pared down size. The product is smaller, but you're buying their system.
But I'm talking about, is it 20 years also, something like that?
Yes. Yeah.
So, I can guess, but I'm asking you, what is appealing about this particular piece of property? If you're working with people in Princeton, what is interesting about this particular, what benefit does this property give you?
Yeah. So a number of ththings. Number one, you have wide open skies. There's no direct street lights or farmhouse lights or any lights to it. So your only light pollution is the sky glow itself. So you can't control that part of it. You can only control your local environment. Number two, and a very big one, if you've been to John Clyde, especially at night or the evening, you go out to the parking lot. If you look west toward the canal side, you go out to the tree line and it dips lower down to Hillsborough. If you go east, it's a slope down. You're basically on a very soft hill where the parking lot is. What that allows for is a smooth laminar flow of air, and that keeps your local, they call it atmospheric seeing, very calm. You want to look at a penny that's in the bottom of a swimming pool. If it's calm and still, you can see right down to it. If there's kids splashing and playing in that water, clear water, it's turbulent. You can't see the penny. So John Clyde offers a very nice, clear, non-turbulent view by its nature in that spot right there.
So why Princeton University, I mean, is one of the top universities in the, not the country, the world. Why are they interested in this?
They outgrew their
They have their own
facility.
observatory, I mean,
They do. So they have access to other observatories, but they're local, they're observational course observatories. The lady that I spoke with, the chairman, Susan Duncan, she says essentially they're looking for a new spot because they have trees, they've got no space, they're compact, and they need an open field. And we have that down the road. So that
and they can pay for it.
And that may be the case, but we're early on that.
So Franklin and all of New Jersey has a tendency to grow. Yeah, that lands around there.
I don't know that you really need to go beyond what's there already. Hillsboro's on the other side, so it's out of our purview there. The space that's currently there is plenty comfortable enough elbow room for that facility.
So across the river is actually Montgomery, not Hillsborough.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But, so much similar to ours, that large acre residential or agricultural. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But likewise, you're in control of your own zoning, and you know that without sewer, it's very unlikely that you'll see any kind of significant development anywhere near the property itself.
Rob, what kind
Own a
of
big piece of it.
insurance would we need for something like this? And can you give an idea of what it would cost the township?
Well, I mean, we have, we add things all the time as far as value. We're a member of a joint insurance fund, and as far as casualty and property here is just, it would be added to the list of literally, I gotta be honest with you, 100 million more dollars worth of assets, so it's $1 million a year for our liability and workers' compensation insurance. So it's not, I don't think it would have any significant impact. The youth center is a lot more than that. And
I guess my question, Mr. Lickman, is what are you asking of us? Are you asking the township to build this for the township, to build it for your club, to build it for Princeton? Could you refine the ask?
Sure. The ask would be that the township would build it for the township. The equipment, if Princeton would like to come into this, they would either, we would grant them use of equipment that is ours, townships, or they would potentially pay for the telescope, but we would build the facility and everything there, for example. Those are kind of the two directions we started to talk about. It would be the townships. The club would operate, train people, do workshops, use it, help people learn all about it, and have a great experience with it. But I want this to be the towns. I want this to be the students, the teachers, the science department. Eric Siegel and I, we're going to do a powwow conversation on this. So the Board of Ed may also contribute funds to this. We're going to talk about that too.
So these are all initial costs, right? This is not, once
Yeah,
it's
no, this is-
built, then there's got to be
There's maintenance
maintenance
costs.
and everything else beyond that. Who pays for that?
Again, because it would be the towns, but these, I want us to have high yield investment, right? We should be getting out of this a tremendous number of benefits, particularly for our school students, but for all of our residents in general.
Where's John Clyde? Where do you want it?
At the particular spot?
Yeah.
Past where the parking lot is right now, just south of where the parking lot is.
where's the old horse farm?
That direction. Not much further, but there.
Average an acre for preservation. How much money? Yeah, 40,000.
Depends on what, you're talking about acquisition, you're talking about farmland preservation, and where is it? That all matters. It's where, yeah.
But just in general.
Down there, we recently did farmland preservation on Coppermine Road for Coppermine Farm that was about $16,000 to $18,000 an acre.
That's for farm, yeah.
That was just farmland preservation.
Yeah. Open space a little more.
Yeah, open space.
Probably 25, say 25-ish to 32-ish, maybe, I think is the most recent
Farmland
for open
acquisition
space
down there.
down
I mean, but it
there.
depends on where you're talking about. Like I said, we had down there, we're
So
looking
the smaller
specific.
telescope would be 40 acres worth of money.
$725,000 for the smaller one would be
For the whole pack.
for the whole package at 1.25. Well, so this is, again, you have to look at its context. So the property that we purchased off 518, we always call it the Farm Credit East property, that was 120 acres, about 128, okay, 128 acres, and we paid 1.5 million for it, but that was the bargain of the century, right? I mean, it was not something that was kind of, I wasn't even really, I would call it an arm's length transaction. It was a foreclosure that they didn't want to have anymore, and they felt, philanthropic in a way and give us a good deal on it. I think we're looking at down in that area for land that could be developed, and it's like $200,000 an acre. I should correct, $250,000, 250 for a building lot. RR3 or RR5 is what most of it is, and you're looking about, maybe up to 300,000 for a building lot. So that's 3 acres, 5 acres, depending on the zone.
But it's only five buildings, 5 houses.
5 houses.
That you could rent 5 houses.
Oh, for 1.25, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right.
What would it take, more for us, I guess, to actually make this sustainable? Like, I'm wondering, I'm thinking about the Environmental Education Center, Bunker Hill. And
There's issues that would be sustainable, unfortunately, due to physical constraints right now because of a bridge that is no longer able to carry weight. The school wants to use it. We're just in the midst of now dealing with the DEP to go through all of the efforts involved to get permits to replace a bridge. So that's why that's not currently being used. But the Board of Education was using it up until the time that the bridge was deemed unsafe to take school buses across.
It's going to be on the same timeline as Catalpa, probably.
Well, I mean, we're pushing on it, and we've been dealing with it as best we can. It's not an in-kind replacement. That bridge that was there was one that was there when it was a house, so it's a little bit different. But
what about the facility also? I guess the reason I bring that up is just like, I know that's hard. Like, I know it's hard. These things come up.
So that, you're absolutely right.
It's not being used. We want to be using it, but we can't.
that-
Who owns it? Like, I mean, literally owns it, but like, if we were to have something like this.
No, the issue is, and this is where we've had these discussions about the environmental center, then the school went back and started to use it for educational purposes and bringing classes through. I mean, the caretaker on that property is a teacher for the Board of Ed. But this is one where there would have, we've talked about a lot of different things that over the years that would require people, right? These things don't come without those other costs associated with operating a facility. Hello, Tim. So that facility would require people. Now, we have our recreation director down at the other end of the table here, and it would mean that, to run programs would require people.
Salaries.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Not all of our programs are run by our own employees. A lot of times we go out to bid for programs that are run by outside organizations or outside companies. That's where this is that's the question right there.
Certainly a capable system, and that's what other scopes are used. You can rent time. If it's,
How much could we get?
I'd have to get you a hard number on that. Let me do some, because it varies, right? If you're in Chile, you have a different sky, and you're looking at different things. If you're in the East Coast, now here's the thing. There are not many on the East Coast. So you'll be looking at a different part of the sky than the West Coast would earlier. So there could be more demand in a sense jump on an East Coast telescope, but I don't want to just say that. That's what I think.
The issue is revenue generated by this facility would go into the Open Space Trust to offset the original costs to construct. So if there was some sort of ability to realize revenue from the facility, then that would, maybe make it a little more palatable. Is that the word?
I can get you numbers on what that is.
I'm just, there's a lot of,
Both sides.
Yeah. And also just on, you're talking about individuals on salary or otherwise. For example, at the New Jersey Astronomical Association, there are teams of volunteers. They're granted access to the telescope. Here's keys to the facility, and we train you on it. But with that training and with those keys, you have volunteered to do these 4 programs a year. It's like a rotated, and we have dozens and like on the order of a few hundred volunteers who are happy to tell the public and do programming every night. There are people in the astronomy club we met an hour before this meeting who are all like, yes, let's do it. What can we do? How do we do it? We will be there, so ready to go, just as an angle to share.
That would be nice. Are we going to disturb neighbors?
There's nobody there to disturb. Certainly sound-wise, there's no sound with, it's not in that sense.
Driving up the driveway, you go by a house.
Driving, okay,
You do.
driving up, you go by, there's one
You go
house
by a
right
house.
next to the driveway.
you also, there's also another house that claims to be within eyesight of the parking area. As former Councilman Chase knows all too well,
Claimed he was being watched
by the camera.
by the camera, which is on the other side of the pool.
There you go. The memory of the man next to me, that's absolutely true.
So could this thing be used year-round, and how does the telescope affected by the weather? If you open the roof, it's exposed to whatever is going
Right,
on
it's
that
exposed to the
day.
environment. These systems, you have a go, no-go system. So you've got a little local weather that says it's clear, you have a camera there that shows you it's clear, there's no rain, there's no pressure. So those systems are a little system you buy, you put on it, and you engage it. When you operate remotely, it will tell you a checklist of things that, like, yes, it's acceptable to open the roof and use the telescope or not. So those systems are in place. When it's open, you're only going to be using it when it's a clear sky anyway, so it's only open to clear sky. So you
have as much as a 70-degree air temperature difference, or is it?
Right. So again, so you pull that roll-off roof in minutes. It's not a heated structure that far, and it's purposefully left to be ambient.
How hard would it be to get water and?
You have to be a well, and it would have to be septic. There is no water and there is no
Right, I was
septic.
gonna say, so you're talking well and septic for big dollars.
Yep. Well and septic.
It used to be there. I know there's a cement slab, it's just see there.
What used to be there? Well, it was a farm, and the cement slab is all the way to the, pretty far south on the property from the parking lot, and that was a horse barn, a very large horse barn.
It's on the other side of the bridge. You gotta go down.
There's the smaller one, there was a corn crib not far, more modern structure that was torn down after the township took ownership of it. That was closer to the parking lot.
Okay.
That was, the farm road is still there. And and it came up, there's 2 restored homes on Canal Road. They're kind of dark reddish color.
Oh, yeah.
That was the driveway up, and you went up that driveway and past the houses, and there was the horse barn. And then you continued and made a left, and you went all the way down, and there was the corn crib kind of in the middle. And then you got to the existing road now that we use down to Canal Road, and it just kind of, that's how the.
Well, they're really 2 different farms.
But those 2 connected.
Yeah, they certainly
Yeah, they connected, and then there's other ones are the trails now, right? Some of those other farm trails are the trails of the open space now. Yes.
Any other questions?
You said the telescopes some of them will be permanently mounted outdoors?
No, so they're permanently mounted on the pad, on the foundation. Right. The roof, sorry. The roof opens and closes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I was a little worried about vandalism, but,
Well, that's always a concern. So there's things that, I would say that, one, we never ran electricity up onto the site. We have a camera there that's solar powered camera. Obviously this would require electricity, so it's a pretty good run. It's a pretty good run up from Canal Road. Once you have power, you can have an alarm. Obviously, you can also enhance the cameras at the site from just the one camera that we have now that's solar powered. That once you have power, you can certainly increase your security. It has been in the past a location where we've had vandalism done and kids kind of hanging out. That seems to, the police kind of cracked down on it when it happened, and they maintained their presence there. And we really haven't, haven't had an issue in quite some time. Obviously, with the value contained within that building, it would be a much bigger concern, and I would certainly want to see some kind of enhanced security.
250,000 doesn't sound like a realistic number to me in terms
The
of.
number there was when I said materials to build it, because I'm looking at a prefab structure.
Right.
You can go online and just say, all right, for this footprint, what's a prefab facility look like with a bathroom? And that's the number.
Right. So look at the concession stand and just kind of put it in perspective
No,
for you. And look at the
point that out.
concession stand in Middlebush Park, which is about 1,200 square feet with 2 bathrooms and a small kitchen area and a storage area, and it was $600,000.
So the number you see there is for like me looking at a material. That's not part
The
of it,
building
that's not the
itself.
structure. So, and that's, yeah.
Bill brought up the fact that Highbridge could build a town hall for 250. See, I
No,
remember
$500,000. $500,000.
a house.
Come on with
A
that.
house. And you
I was just talking about that the other day.
Did someone else talk now, or we?
about this particular topic.
I have something else on.
Not yet.
Not yet. There's no more questions, Zach. Zach, I guess the next step is try to get, what kind of cost sharing you come up with. And we gotta get some better numbers for, this is like, I think way low. Even 1.25 million is like way low.
Again, they were only for the material, with me thinking that the DPW would be capable to
Right,
build the structure. And I'm just looking, here's what the material part costs, that's all. So, yeah, I can get you
You
different
gotta be
numbers
looking
on
at the
that.
well and septic and all that kind of cost,
Right.
you know.
And
Septic's gonna be about $40,000.
Well, probably
Testify to
same.
that.
He can testify to that. About $40,000 for septic. That's the going rate right now for a new septic system. A well, depending on how deep it has to be.
Yeah.
And remember that we're now drilling in an area of significant rock formations, as it's in close proximity to
Trap rock.
quarry, which
Right.
tells us that and the rock I know goes all the way up at least to Bunker Hill Road, and this is south of Bunker Hill Road, because I watched a contractor blast for days upon weeks to put a sewer system in there, a force main on Bunker Hill Road.
Isn't it near Higgins Farm as well?
No.
Is 40,000, like, would I pay 40,000 or is that a township number? Like, is there a difference?
No, I know of a citizen resident of Franklin Township who recently paid in the ballpark of $40,000 for a septic system.
But he had to truck out all the dirt.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have to truck the dirt out, we could spread it out.
maybe. Yeah.
So it's still 35,000.
All right, so 35,000. This citizen resident I know just told me maybe $35,000.
That person who trucked out all of that dirt,
Yeah, we probably got.
did they get it tested?
They had to get a soil exportation permit to move that soil out.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
so I'll get you numbers from what Princeton, when we have more of those conversations, if they're gonna bring something to the table financially, obviously, and hopefully. And as well as like renting telescope time, the idea that that could be used as a maintenance fund or toward this. So I'll do some homework, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Oh, the next slide, by the way, is the comment, if you're looking for it. So,
Next slide.
I did see it, actually.
So are we Tara, are we leaving this?
If you don't see it now, come back in 80,000 years to because that's when the next time we'll visit. I said, if you don't see it this time, come back 80,000 years from now to see it again.
Tara, Bob, are we leaving this at, that he's gonna come back with some more numbers?
Yeah.
An open item.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
All right, thanks
Thanks,
for
Zach.
coming. Have a good one.
Next.
We're still in public comment. What you're talking about, can I just ask? It's on the agenda, correct?
Yeah, but there's other things.
Oh, okay, all right. I was gonna say, if you want to talk about it during the agenda, that would be, I would ask if it's okay,
I'm
but.
very happy they mowed all the grasses everywhere. It looks
Sir,
very
what
nice.
is your name and address?
My address, you better know my name. It's 20 Magnolia Road, Somerset. My name is Christopher Williams. I'm a local naturalist around here. They did take out my bird boxes.
They did not?
They did. They took out a number of bird boxes. I
Okay.
build them for free. I get the wood for free. I build them for free. But I need help. I need somebody to take me out to the field so I can install the bird boxes, maybe help me hammer the rod in so we can get them in. Is that possible?
Okay, we'll talk, yeah.
Okay.
But, just to be clear, you're saying your bird boxes that you built originally are not there anymore?
There's some that are there, but they
But some
wiped
are
out
gone.
about 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, they're broken, you mean?
Yes.
Or, oh, okay, okay, yeah, we'll talk afterwards then, okay.
And then the other thing I want to bring up is they're leaving trees in the fields, and they're not native trees, they're invasive trees.
So the first thing is their machine, I think, some of the trees can't cut it right away, so the plan is for them to come back and either have to get someone out there to do it, so they did the first run through.
Okay.
And the plan is for them to then come back and cut those, they just haven't gotten there yet, so.
Yeah, because Negri, they haven't touched the trees at Negri that need to go.
Yeah, so they were doing Negri with the machine, the mowing machine, then they were gonna go mow, John Clyde, and then come back and do the other, like,
Okay.
And they
manhole.
do other things other than mow open space.
I understand.
They're
I'm not saying-
They do a little other things every once in a
Yeah,
while.
but-
They'll come back and cut the tree.
Okay. So I don't know if they're gonna rent a machine or they have a machine that can take it out.
We have a machine that, well, we have our new mower, which, so far, you're like the second or third person that told me that it looks good, so I guess that mower is doing well, which
Yes,
is
it
great.
did very nice.
And our DPW does have the equipment they need, they just have to finish mowing, and then they'll go back and do the work.
Okay.
It's a job that will get done when the mowing of fields stops. Understand that the same people who are cutting those open space properties are also mowing soccer fields, which are in great demand right now. So until that grass stops growing and they stop mowing other things, those are winter projects to go in and clean up things like
They can be done all winter
finishing.
long, yeah.
I mean, those trees aren't gonna go anywhere, so they'll,
No, but my
Yeah.
concern is, we didn't mow last year because it was too wet. And this year it's nice and dry.
And the burn is, we have applied and been approved for the burn this year, Negri
burn the
first.
trees,
So
too.
hopefully, I know sometimes the trees withstand, but that should help too, so
Okay.
keep our fingers crossed.
If they want my advice, you have my
Yeah.
cell phone number.
Call me.
They can
Yeah.
always call me and ask me what trees to take out. I'll tell them all the trees.
Absolutely, yeah, just give me a call or I'll call you, yeah.
Okay. So-
shade tree might
Did you
take
want to talk
exception.
about the other item, or you want to wait till it's on
Oh,
the
no,
agenda?
yeah, I'll talk about that.
Shade tree.
So you want,
Like
what,
I said,
the other thing
shade
you
tree
want to
might
talk
take
about
exception.
is
One
the
thing I-
pond. Do you
The
want
pond.
to talk about it during
I don't know what you guys-
hang on one second, Chris. Do you want to talk about it during the agenda when it's a very brief update, or you want, just talk about it? Well, it's up to him, really.
I can't talk during the
I'm
Go
like-
ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay. Everybody understands that pond was designed as a vernal pond.
Yeah.
I don't know what maintenance it needs, because it is supposed to dry out, and when it dries out, weeds are gonna grow. And it's working out fine, because this year we had some fairly rare birds. We had 2 different rails in there in the cattails. It's a great place. It really is. And I don't think you need to touch anything in it. But
So yes, our Trails Committee, was interested in like potentially finding out how to restore it or what needs to be done to it because of the overgrowth and blocking the birds. That was their opinion, and your opinion is that it doesn't need to be.
It's designed to be a vernal pond. Therefore, in the springtime, when it rains, if it ever does again, it'll fill up with water, and that'll kill the grasses. So we really don't need to do anything, in my opinion.
Okay.
Now, really typically, I think vernal ponds are in the woods, and because they're shaded, there's not so much growth of anything in them.
You're probably right. But when the water does get in there, the weeds do turn into organic matter.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions for Chris? If not, a motion to close the public session. Second? All in favor? All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Next on the agenda is approval of the, do we have the June and September minutes?
You have September, right?
Okay, approval of the September minutes. Any corrections?
Yeah, I have one comment on D. It says, David Trigg, speaking of the natural basin, Middlebury Park is concerned about pond and weed control. It was pesticides that I was concerned about. And
Check those words carefully. I used it more
and
generically.
it may have a negative effect on animals, but I also mentioned that I was concerned that it drains into the local stream, which either goes into the DNR Canal or the river, Raritan River. So that was my other concern.
I'd,
So 1 second, so it would be David Trigg is concerned about the use of pesticides near the pond and weed control efforts.
Well, I didn't say, I don't know anything about weed control.
You know, I said on that day, after communicating with the Public Works Director, that the only thing that was done was possibly weed control. The truth is, I'll discuss it under old business, exactly what it is, and it's neither.
Well, first of all, there's flags around
I
there.
just said it's old business, and I'll discuss it, and the flags are not related to pesticide or herbicide.
It
So,
says pesticides do
David,
not.
I am not gonna discuss this now. You're wrong.
This is about the minutes.
I'm wrong.
This is about the minutes.
Exactly.
It's about what happened, not what further discussion.
And I made my minutes.
And I said that the discussion was also about herbicides, which also came up in that discussion after I discussed it with the Public Works Manager on the phone.
Marty, do you have something?
We are discussing this further. Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna bring it up under old business and
Okay.
tell you exactly who was there and what's applied.
Okay,
It's
great.
not what you said it is.
All I'm telling you,
I said when it's coming up, David, that's when it's coming up.
Marty, you got anything?
yeah, under environmental, the fourth line down, skip the step, I believe it's skip the step.
Okay, hang on, I'm just getting there. Give me 1 second. Fourth line down. Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
And then under the second to last line, it says private composting, tourist and not-for-profit, for free residential composting. And I believe in, might correct me, it begins out free, and then after a while, it might no longer be free. And this was for, I believe, food waste composting.
Yes.
So this is residential composting, that's just, it should say food waste composting, I believe.
Okay, okay, I'm just changing them here, Bill, if you don't mind, this way I can post them. Is that okay, or?
TORUS, isn't it?
TORUS, I changed it, yeah. And it was food composting, right, got it, okay.
All right, there's no further additions, corrections, motion to approve as amended.
Oh, hold on, Vanessa.
I'm sorry.
I'm listed as a trust advisory committee member, but I'm also a citizen member. I don't know if that matters or not. I was appointed as a citizen member.
Okay. Vanessa, where are you? Oh, here you are. Who's representing the Trails Advisory Committee? Yeah, that's true. There was a,
You said since I was here, I could do both.
There's,
John, are you the no, you were the Trails Advisory
was
Committee
Trails
member.
Advisory.
Okay, let me highlight it and I'll figure out what the correct term is, but thank you.
You keep talking.
On the template, if you want to just fix the spelling of my first name,
Yes,
bottom left.
bottom left, okay, yes, thank you. Perfect.
Okay. Motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second?
Second. In favor?
Who seconded? I'm sorry, I missed it. Barney, okay, perfect, thank you.
Financial report. Any questions on a financial report?
What's emergency and safety supplies?
Emergency and safety supplies.
So the crew members of the Public Works Department who work in the parks have to use safety supplies when they're working. It's literally that. I mean, it could be vests, it could be hard hats, it could be a number of different things.
Just as an aside, right across on my phone just came across the astrological map that we were just looking at.
Yeah, there you go.
Please talk about it.
What?
There is no Trails Committee member of this
Okay, so Vanessa's a
committee.
citizen member.
So you're a citizen member. Trails
Alright.
does not have a representative. One member of the planning board who shall not be an elected official, one member of the historic, one member of the environmental commission, one member of the Franklin Township Recreation Council, one member of the agricultural committee, one member of Shade Tree, and 6 citizen members of Franklin Township. You are a citizen. There is no.
No other questions or comments on the financial report? Move on to new business.
No, we don't have to do that? No? Okay, all right, got it.
I have a question about Talbot at some point, and I'm not sure where that would go in.
About the what? I'm sorry.
Talbot.
Whole business.
Catalpa, okay.
Whole business.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing for some reason. I don't know, I know, I'm like, what now? I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I think I'm congested. Okay.
Any updates on the blind?
Yes, just a very brief update. So after the last meeting, I spoke to our DPW and I got the list of our approved environmental engineering and environmental consultants. And I reached out to one that has an environmental department and a civil engineering. And I started speaking to them about, what would be involved and, could you put together like a quote or something like that. So I had a meeting with them. I reported on it to the Trails Committee. They are working on putting together some options about potentially what they could work on, specs for the bird blind, recommendations where it should be, and then also looking at the pond. But that's just a quote, just something that as a jumping off point. So it's not ready yet, but I told them I would like to have it before the next Trails meeting, which is November 13th. So I'll have it for that, and then hopefully we can discuss it at the next meeting. And again, it's just I don't even have any idea what that would cost, so I need something to go on. So that's basically where we're at. So moving forward.
The township built it.
The bird blinds?
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's going to depend on the specs and the materials, and I don't know if it's like something, I really don't know. I really am not sure. So,
It's
yeah.
unlikely that the township would build it.
So we'll get an idea. I mean, that's the thing, we're
We
trying to
contract
get.
with a construction company to construct whatever it is that's.
Because you could just buy one of those sheds
Yeah,
and plop it down and cut a hole in it.
yeah. So this basically started off like, hey, the bird blind needs some improvements, and it kind of turned into, if we're gonna do this, maybe we should look about, incorporating the pond and working on the ADA ramp, and then maybe it might be scaled back, maybe it won't, but we have to get something tangible to deal with, so, yeah.
Next is the Grassland Preserve updates, fails, and then.
Oh, that's all part of, that first one.
Okay.
Yep,
We're
yep.
done with that. Okay.
Yep.
Old business. the plan, the final draft.
Yes, so the Pathways and Trails Plan, Mark Healy reviewed it. He only had 2 comments, which was great. The first was he wanted some language changed in a portion of reviewing site plans, which made sense. And then he also wanted us to update the mapping just to include some other elements that weren't on there. So I finished updating that mapping just before this meeting. And I sent him the final draft, so it's gonna go, he's gonna schedule the public hearing, hopefully sometime before the end of the year. And then it'll get adopted as part of the master plan, so it's completely finished. So once the planning board looks at it and has a chance to do their thing, you know, I'll probably do a presentation there, and then that's that. And that's good news.
Hey, Bob, you have something on old business?
Arnie wants to talk about Catalpa,
I just had a question.
because there's tree planting and maintenance at Memorial Forest too.
We'll get that.
You want to get to that one?
No, we'll get Arnie.
So I was at the end of that town hall meeting last week, I think it was last Monday. And Bob, I think you mentioned something about the Catalpa, about there being pickleball courts there.
Yes.
I don't remember that they were in the plans that we
The plans were amended.
Okay, so that's my question is, can we get a look at the plans to?
Sure.
Sooner rather than later, that's.
I guess the better question is was there any other revisions besides pickleball?
Well, there were alterations to the plan as a result of the DEP doing all of the things that the DEP did from 2020 until now to make us jump through hoops. Yeah, so certain things were adjusted to conform with an increased stream corridor buffer, and so, yeah, so, but you know, there was no significant alterations to the amenities of the park. There were tennis courts always included in the plan.
Yeah.
And because of the demand for pickleball, there's been a reconfiguration of the tennis courts to allow for less tennis courts and pickleball courts.
That was gonna be.
About as simple as that, Arnie, nothing extravagant.
It's not less the footprint, it's the painting.
Well, it's that you can turn them sideways, you can get more pickleball courts out of something that's dedicated as pickleball courts, as opposed to utilizing it as both a tennis court and a pickleball court, because pickleball courts can be turned sideways, so you get 2 for 1. But you can't have the nets, because now they're this way instead of that way, right?
It'll be applied.
So, but clearly the demand has been great for pickleball courts, and that doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon.
So at the next meeting, would we be able to get a look at it?
If I'm here, you'll get a chance to look at it. I don't know when, if I'm not here, then Tara can get them. I mean, we can get them from Darren Massey, it's not a problem. I may not be here.
Somebody say that you're allowed to take time off?
I'm having surgery next week, so you don't get to choose.
You're on.
You'll be back in that time, trust me.
I don't know. The issue is not so much that I'm left-handed, it is my left arm, and the driving back and forth.
Right-handed, so
Yeah.
I'm telling you, not that bad.
One thing to add just about what we're talking about Catalpa real quick, we can talk about this another time because I didn't get to review the article yet, but I got an email that DEP is adding, I'm probably going to say it wrong, I think it's like the tricolored bat is another bat that's going to be added to the threatened and endangered species list, and they're doing a webinar on it and everything for this whole, so I'm going to attend it because I think it's going to have, if that bat, I think it's pretty, well, you might know better, is that a prevalent bat or?
No.
So then it's probably okay, but they're having a webinar,
It
so.
probably occurs up north,
Yeah.
or further south. I don't think.
That's
it
good.
occurs.
You never know, 'cause if one's
one
there.
is during
Yeah.
during the breeding period, if one is within 25 miles, right, then you have to shut everything down.
Yeah, like if it's resting or nesting spots,
Yeah.
so just something to keep in mind that DEP does do this, and sometimes when they do things like that, it can upend an entire, process.
All right.
Okay, next
So-
on,
so
next on, I asked,
You want to do that one? Go ahead.
yeah, I asked Tara about, to put this on there. We've been talking about planting trees at Memorial Forest. It's time to start planting trees at Memorial Forest. Who's gonna make, one of
So
the
the
questions is,
plan
who's
is
gonna
being,
maintain
the
them?
plan is being done along, I mean, I think Arnie can speak to this as member of the Shade Tree Commission. Are you the representative of Shade Tree here? Mary is, so Mary can even talk. So one of the things that Shade Tree looked to have funded, and there was a quote for that, which I believe was included in the approved expenditures by Shade Tree, was the development of the planting plan for Memorial Forest by CME, along with the Community Forestry Management Plan. So that's part of the approved expenditures out of Shade Tree Trust for a planting plan for Memorial Forest.
Okay, where's that?
Well, they're working on both things simultaneously right now, and I know I got an email from Steve Galuli that was sent to Darren Massey from CME today, asking for an update on where they're at with the Community Forestry Management Plan. That's the same person is doing both, and that person, I think, Tara, what's her name? You know her.
Sherry.
Yeah.
Sherry Spiro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my husband's roommate's wife.
That's a
In
mouthful.
college. My husband's
Yeah.
college roommate's wife.
Like I say,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
And that was purely by coincidence, not by
Yes.
design.
It's crazy. Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's just, it worked out that way. But I think that the emphasis right now is on the Community Forestry Management Plan update, only because that has a deadline. And so they're trying to reach the deadline and beat the deadline, which they will. That's not a problem.
And there is
But
grant money for that, you saw that?
the grant money is really not relevant to our renewal at all. It's not.
There were two kinds of grants.
I understand that, and I'm telling you that it's not relevant to our renewal.
Which one is not relevant?
Our community, no grants are relevant to our Community Forestry Management Plan renewal. And that's straight from the people who have attended every seminar and
Thank you, Bob.
yeah, they shut it down. It's not for us. I wish it was, but it's not. We went into it full bore trying to get the money, and it's not, the state said it's not for you.
Not how I read it, so maybe you could send me an email and explain.
I'm not going to be able, again, I'm not the expert here. We have hired an engineering firm to do all of this work, and they're the ones that are saying we're not eligible for it.
I'll try to look into it for you. Yes.
Well, but once we get these trees in the ground, who's going to be charged of maintaining them?
Public Works.
Public Works will maintain them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the ability to water, and I know, and there's things that can be discussed going forward about that. We can discuss the possibility of an irrigation well there, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea, that we can talk about, incorporating into the final design so that there's water on site. We certainly know that there's water, water table's not very, very deep in that area.
There's a workable well on the site already.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So it's certainly things that we can look at for irrigation purposes.
Very good.
To keep it from just having to truck the water back to where the trees will be planted.
You and I can go out there with our defining rods.
Exactly.
I've got one, it works.
I mean, God rest his
Call it
soul, I'm
spigot.
sure Joe Toto could tell us where the water was, but,
Yeah, I know there's a well.
that's what I'm
at the
saying.
site
I
you
think
can
that,
find
because it doesn't have to be potable water.
No,
It just
no.
has to be irrigation water, so makes that well a lot more affordable.
Right.
Let's put it that way. And electricity is.
The other thing I want to bring up where I talk about trees and hit Memorial Forest, and maybe this is not the site for it, but I just read an article and I sent it to Arnie about Detroit is planting sequoia trees in Detroit,
Is that right?
and they're surviving. I thought it'd be unique if we could plant them somewhere in Franklin.
Well, do you know the largest stand of redwoods east of the Mississippi is at Rutgers Display Gardens?
There's the whole article about the nursery and raising these things.
Cool.
I like that idea.
I mean, none of us would be around here to see it get this big as the ones in California,
No,
but.
but they grow at an astronomical length every year, so I mean, I think it's something we ought to look at. I mean, it just, to me, it was unique, and not that I'm a real tree hugger, but I think that'd be cool to have one, or have maybe a Memorial
You're a
Forest,
tree
one field.
Shouldn't we plant indigenous trees? Shouldn't we plant indigenous?
So I think native species and non-invasives, but I don't know, is a redwood considered invasive? I don't know.
No, not at all.
Probably not.
I don't know. I understand what you're.
Very slowly.
I think it's cool.
I like it.
We planted a Salem oak
But
out
start
here
the
in
article
front,
on
that
Forbes,
was
say you.
indigenous to Salvagers.
But, maybe up, when there's two fields in the back, we talked about putting our trees in the one field, maybe the other field we could do sequoias. I mean, I think it'd be something unique for Franklin.
I think from,
Houses have more people.
Oh. Take it back to Shade Tree and see what the committee has to say.
Okay, that's right next door.
Shade Tree, and we have our recommended list. It's on the.
Redwood is on the list?
On the list of recommended
That's pretty
trees.
cool, there you go. See?
It's not native to this area. As far as conservation is concerned, Chris might know if there's a swampy area, like a lot, I think we might consider Atlantic white cedar. Is that what it is?
Atlantic white cedar, yes. That is a wetland species.
It's native to New Jersey, and it was basically all cut down for the British ships back in the day. Because they.
Vernal Pond and Negri.
Aren't red cedar?
It's a swampy area.
Get out of here.
It's called Cedar Grove.
Okay, Bob, you got something?
That would be a.
Yeah, so as far as the question that David asked at last meeting about what was being applied at Middlebush. So the company that we hire for turf maintenance at Middlebush and other parks where it's necessary to maintain the soccer fields, I think that they're actually here on
Yeah,
the
natural
list.
green area.
Natural green, lawn care. So this is the company that maintains all of the Rutgers athletic fields and all. They also happen to maintain Yankee Stadium, for what that's worth. They are the ones who apply what you would have seen the truck applying, and it's fertilizer and grub control. It's not pesticide, it's not herbicide. Obviously, they're not spraying fertilizer in the bioretention basins. They're applying it to the grass areas of the park, in particular the athletic fields. So that's the only thing that's applied anywhere in Middlebush Park, and for that matter, anywhere in any of our parks. It's the only park right now that we concentrate on the natural turf athletic fields for fertilization and grub control, because without it, the fields become unsafe for play. And that's why those fields were done. And so that's what you saw. Now, there may be warning flags out there. I'm not saying that there's not warning flags, but the material that's being applied to those fields is simply fertilizer and grub control.
I'm thankful that you looked into that, and thankful that you looked into that, and they're putting the wrong flags out, because if you go out there right now,
I'm not gonna argue
if
with
you
it.
leave this meeting, there's flags out there that say
If I
pesticide.
leave this meeting, I'm gonna see a herd of 10 deer on Wilson.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Let's not argue today, all right? Because I already saw
Yeah,
eight
hit 'em.
here, all right? And then the next day, I sent the picture of the one I got to meet in the middle of the road after our open space meeting to Billy.
All I'm telling you is
I'm not
there's
arguing with it.
flags
I'm
that
just-
say
I will address
pesticide.
Public Works to make
So-
sure it's not pesticide. I tell you, there's no.
I'm only going by what the flags say. You can leave here tonight and go there and see them.
Because it's incorporated into the fertilizer that's applied.
Right,
And
right,
that-
but that's pesticide signs in it, because grub
And
control is a
so-
pesticide.
and-
So
and-
that's why the
that-
signs.
And that made no sense that they would spray pesticides
They're
there.
not, because
So-
we're obviously, those bioretention basins are just that. They're meant to be.
Natural.
Just natural.
Exactly.
And that's, there's no control on those. The only thing that happens on those is at the end of the season, they're mowed.
Right.
And so that they come back in the
Every
spring.
couple years, not every year.
Not every year, no. I mean, we have them right back here in the back of the municipal complex as well. So that's what's
Thank
done.
you.
You're welcome.
That leads to two things in my mind. One, to Dave's point, somebody needs to contact the people.
I just said I would.
Oh, okay. Bad hearing. Second point is, then why is it that all of a sudden, when Dave goes out there, he's no longer hearing the frogs, the peepers?
Well, because we suffered through a drought all summer into now.
But this was early on, Bob. This was very early
I'm
on.
saying, there's nothing that's.
But now, there's no water, so there's no frogs. I mean, there's no nothing.
There are 2 frogs in my swimming pool.
And that's because there was water there. There was water there.
You chlorinated it.
And I assume you have a natural swimming pool and not a chlorinated?
Exactly.
That's where they were.
He has a vernal swimming
Well, it hasn't been chlorinated for a while.
backyard that has frogs in it.
There you go.
I have a pond too.
I've had none because I have a vernal pond in my backyard, and that's beyond my backyard. And that's true. It's a dry stream bed that then becomes a pond when it's wet season, and we haven't seen wet season all year. It's been just hard as rock. So, but anyway, I will also discuss the post, how they post.
I was golfing this weekend. I could barely get a tee in the ground.
You hit the ball 475 yards down the
fairway. Didn't help.
80% of it on the ground. Rolling.
Is there any other old business that anybody wants to bring up? If not, we'll move on.
No, the answer is no. Not in this meeting. Yes.
No, wrong meeting.
He started yelling at himself. No, no.
That's when you know you're going to many meetings, Bob.
Right.
Any questions on the consultant's activity report?
Thank you.
If nothing else, update from other committees?
Congratulations, Tara, on the Achievement in Planning Award.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's for everybody.
We didn't talk
So-
about that here yet.
We said last month, but yeah, I went and picked it up. It was very nice, actually. Yeah, so it was cool. Thank you.
Other committee reports, anybody?
Just want to share that we have formally scheduled November 14th. The Environmental Commission is hosting a program, a short film and a discussion on the Green Amendment, which is a movement across the country, and there is movement in Trenton to have a green amendment to the state constitution to guarantee us all clean air, clean water, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm hopeful that we may get Senator Andrews Wicker, state senator from Hillsborough, Montgomery, who's a prime sponsor of this piece of action in Trenton, to come speak with us, as well as Maya van Rossum, who is the founder of the national organization Green Amendment for the Generations. She also happens to be the Delaware Riverkeeper. So she is going to be with us, going to be at the Board of Ed buildings on 27, where Consolata was. So we'll have plenty of room, and I'll send you all an email with the details, but it's a Thursday night in the middle of November. Hope you can be there.
What was the date?
November 14th,
What time?
7 p.m.
Thank you.
The BOE bill.
Yes.
Quick question from Shade Tree. You have that project you're working on in Neiman Williams Park, and I promised you a list of trees. So I have notes. I just need to get that together. Do you still need the list?
Yeah, you don't have to like rush to get it to me right now, but yeah, if you can, that would be great. When you have a chance, thank you.
And the shrub was removed.
Oh, was good. Okay, perfect. Even better. Okay.
Does that really require a chainsaw?
It was like
They
thick and
they required a backhoe.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
I'm not joking. A chainsaw and then a backhoe to remove the root ball.
Wow.
It was in there pretty
It
good.
looked pretty big. It did, right?
It was pretty big.
Actually.
And he was going to have a great.
Exactly. He was not going to do it himself. Looking it up to the family truckster. It wasn't coming out easy.
Leave the back,
It was like a
back
cute
axle
job.
will be left on the ground.
I saw that once. My neighbor did that, and I'm driving down the road, and I see this tree when the thing released.
The trails, we're excited about checking out the possible new trail on the County Route 518 property. So we're going to go do a walkthrough on February 23rd. So we're excited to check that out.
Do me a favor. When are you going to go?
February 23rd.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, just do me a favor. Since are you going to go too?
I'm going to try my best.
So
yeah.
could you ensure that our local residents right there are aware of the fact that
I
you're
will.
doing it? Okay.
I mentioned kind of too. Yeah. So yeah.
February 23rd.
518.
Our rain date is March 1st.
I would be interested.
There's firearm hunting at that property, so that's why we're waiting for firearms to be over.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be a very easy property to identify trails because, in some regards, there kind of is already. So, there's a pipeline back there, so there's some clearing. But it's not, it's a dense forest area, but it's not a dense ground
Yeah.
vegetated. It's kind of open on the ground. I walked around. for quite a bit without really having to walk around, low brush or anything like that. It's the forest floor is pretty clear.
Okay.
So you should be able to get around pretty well back there.
Karen, was that the area that you, Bob, and I walked on?
No, I don't think we ever, oh wait, did we?
Yeah,
walk
we
there?
did.
Yeah, no,
We
yeah,
did,
yeah,
we walked there
it
a long
is.
time ago.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Where you moved the driveway or you closed the
Yes.
driveway?
Yeah, that's the one, yep, and we built a small parking area a little bit further
Yeah.
up by Madden Nursery, across the street from Madden.
Little tree stand up and.
Yes, yep.
Yes, yes, you were out
Oh
for
my
that,
gosh, I
yes.
forgot about that. That seems like it
Yep.
was so long ago. Okay. I'm sorry, Vanessa.
No, you're good, you're good. We had a great turnout from our committee for Franklin Day. And it was nice, despite the rain, we had great turnout. We were able to really promote the trails.
Friendly tent.
We were tight, we needed a little more space, but we appreciated the space we had, but next year we'd love to have a little bit more.
Stephen would say that he didn't get to be in that friendly tent and was saturated.
Uh-huh.
It's all right. Peeled off the clothes that day.
Yeah, but the township and the committee, there was, Steve was there from Shade Tree, he was there all day, and.
We had a big table.
Yeah.
We had lots of stuff.
Health
We're gonna
department was
switch,
there, county health department was with us, Arnie was there.
Paul Walensky from the
Paul Walensky,
environmental
Paul
committee.
Walensky from
Wasn't able
environmental.
to spread out all the things that
No.
we had.
Walter Andrews.
And Walter was there too,
Yeah.
that's right, it was nice to see Walter.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, we made the best of it, and it was drizzly, but I think we all kind of had fun. It was
We've talked to a lot of people. We had good information out. People are always excited to hear about the trails. We always have to bait them in, like, hey, you want to learn about trails and biking and walking trails in your neighborhood, and they come over. They come over. So that was nice. We have a scheduled walk on Sunday, October 27th at noon in partnership with Recreation with Therapeutic Rec. We're excited about that. And Tara already talked about a bunch of other things I won't repeat. We had one of our trail members, Jignasha, had led a hike for Thomas Edison Energy
Smart
School. And she had a great turnout for that. And she's a teacher there. And we also talked about just trying more ways to do advertising. The councilman on our committee, he suggested maybe featuring a trail in each of the Franklin Times. And so we're moving forward to do that and doing just some more things in the Franklin Times, social media. We're also talking about bringing back our calendar contest and hiking challenge. So those are things that we're talking about.
The calendar contest, it was very popular.
Yeah.
When that calendar came out, it sold out fairly quickly. There are a number of people in this town, and even outside of the town, who take some absolutely beautiful photographs.
Yeah.
If you want to see some of them, they're on my wall of my office, inner and outer. I wound up making prints from a number of them and framed them there in my conference room in my outer office.
Yeah.
And we didn't limit it to just township trails. There were DNR Canal towpath photos.
Yeah.
There was some from Colonial Park.
Anything in the township.
Yeah, exactly. Anything in the township. It was a very popular.
We didn't mean to end it. Like it was one of those things.
Well, I think it ended kind of like there was there was some. It was just transitional, and then COVID came, and there was a number of different things that
I think
caused it
COVID
to
was the
end.
last year we did it,
I
and then
think
we just
so.
kind of didn't. That's what we said. We kind of like just.
And we can use the photos
Yeah.
to brighten up our website, which is what
Yeah,
we've
so we
done.
wanted to bring it back.
I could return to judge it.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
And doesn't your wife help put it all together?
Yeah, she did.
There was
She's
some,
still on
there
board
was
for
some
that?
absolutely beautiful photographs that were taken.
We used them in the Pathways and Trails
Yeah.
plan too. those
They were
photos.
beautiful. Yeah, those were beautiful.
So we're bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
Sorry, Lori, I just volunteered you.
She'll be watching this show and saying, Philip, what did you do?
I have no other reports, and I need to go, next thing is another, open the public comment. Second? Second. All in favor? Opposed?
I
No.
have nothing to say. I've said my piece.
Okay. Motion to close public comment? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to go into executive session?
No, I don't believe we do.
No, I'll just say everything that was underway, so nothing to
Right.
report yet, but our appraisals are underway, so.
For all of the things that we have
Yep.
discussed.
Yep.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
The only New York team that